I'm sitting with Rabbi Avraham Frank, who's got an incredible project going, and I think everybody should hear about it, know about it, and maybe even do something about it. This project was started by the Rebbe many years ago, called a moment of silence, where every school starts their day, or sometimes during the day, has a moment of silence, asking the students, grade level, uh, asking the students to be quiet for a moment, literally a minute, and think about it. Think about school, think about life, think. Should the child want to know what to think, you have to ask your parents. It's not the teacher or the school, it's the parent that gives the child a subject, a topic, a thought to fill that moment of quiet. The effect, it is so phenomenal. 1 minute, and it changes almost everything in the school. It's a brilliant, brilliant idea. And today, so essential, so important to introduce a little bit of moral thinking, a little social awareness, as you'll see from the letters that these children write, and some letters from the principals. The schools are terribly empty of moral lessons. It is so secular that it has no values whatsoever. And the few values that are now being introduced are scary. And so now more than ever, this moment of silence is life-saving, life-changing. And Rabbi Frank has been at the head of this, spearheading this movement. Yet how many schools that you've got doing this now?
Well, I have 3 states mandated, and part of Alaska is mandated. Right, we changed the laws.
In 3 states, they have to have a moment of silence. Every public school.
Right.
And part of Alaska.
Right.
Wow. That's a lot of schools. Wow.
It's thousands of schools.
Thousands of schools. Wow. And you've been collecting these letters for how many years now?
About 15 to 20 years.
15 years. May I read some of these?
Yeah.
Here's a letter from a student. Looks like a second grader. How the moment of silence makes me feel. For example, it makes me feel good. Secondly, it makes me feel proud of myself. It makes me feel like I'm somebody. Lastly, it is for these reasons that I feel about the moment of silence. This is like 10 years of therapy. To feel proud of yourself, to feel like I'm somebody. And this in a minute. My goodness. Here's Tyrig Hughes. What class is he in? A moment of silence means that I can think of the people in Trinidad who doesn't have shoes and clothes. He's thinking about poor kids there. This is social consciousness. I mean, this is amazing. There's another child here.
One more.
No, that's the one.
2-minute advance.
Here we go. This is Haley, age 7, grade 2. Our quiet moment is awesome because you get time to think about you and your family. I love that you made this quiet moment up. Thank you very, very much. Can we do it for 2 minutes instead?
There's 3 varies there.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, now let's see what the principals of the schools say and how it affected not the individual, but the whole school. Here is Public School 91 in Brooklyn, New York. Principal is Solomon Long. And he writes, PS 91 began the moment of silence this school year in October. This is the year 08. It's a while ago. We didn't know what to expect, but we thought it was a great idea. I was under the impression that the moment of silence was not accepted by the chancellor, but Rabbi Frank showed me a letter from the chancellor's office giving it his stamp of approval. I tried it a few mornings. My staff and parents gave it their blessings. We do it every morning as a steady part of our morning announcements. It affects calm among the children. I have been here at PS 91 since 1991, which is 17 years, and something wonderful happened this year. I can't say for sure that the moment of silence had everything to do with our testing results, but we had a 12 percentage point increase in our reading scores this year, according to the State English Language Assessment. PS 91 will continue to do the moment of silence for the remainder of this year and next year, because it is something that we need to do. I would recommend that my colleagues adopt the moment of silence immediately, because socially and emotionally it does make a difference. A minute. I can't get over this. A minute of thought can bring such It's almost like a minute of silence is more powerful than anything you could say in a minute.
Oh.
I mean, if the whole school is doing it at the same time, the kids will never forget this.
I have a letter to that effect. The kid writes, the whole school is quiet.
That's pretty awesome.
That's right.
Okay, here is the Glen Mary Elementary School in British Columbia. Principal's office. Dear Avram Frank, we have been doing the moment of silence since January 31 of 2011. We do our quiet time each day at 12:36, just after lunch break. We call it our quiet moment, and it lasts for 1.5 minutes. Our whole school population takes part each day. We have been written up in the newspaper. We've been on the local radio station with interviews about the program. I'm including newspaper clippings for you. I've sent along a big package of letters about our quiet moment. Some of them are very good, some a bit weak, but you mentioned that you wanted to read them all, so I have included almost all the letters I've received so far. I did not include the ones that were repetitive. I received 175 written comments, which is about half the schools. 88% were positive from the students. 6% were neutral, 6% were negative. Interesting, don't you think? The 10 negative comments were mostly from grade 7, the older kids, but the comments were along the lines of, I don't like being quiet. One student didn't like putting his head on a desk. I'm going to tell him that he doesn't have to put his head on the desk. He can just sit. Almost all the positive comments mentioned said that they liked the quiet, the peacefulness, and how their brain relaxed. Again, this is years of therapy. I've not made any profound observations about improved behavior or improved attitude towards learning yet. However, I do like how the whole school feels during and after our quiet moment, and I like how it makes me feel too. Now, there are people who would desperately like to share their values. Principals, teachers, they're very idealistic people. And they would love to share their values, and they can't. They're not allowed to. This seems to make him feel like at least I'm doing something moral. Getting these quiet thoughts. Reading the 88% of the positive messages has convinced me that we're doing the right thing, and we will build on this success by talking about it with more parents. That's all for now. Best wishes, Patrick Audette, Principal. Anyone who has any influence, who has any connections with a school, with a principal, with a teacher, or with the PTA, recommend this, and they will be grateful to you forever. The school, the parents, and the students. Here's something that Rabbi Frank gives out to students, right? A moment of silence certificate. This is how small things can make such a big difference. A moment of silence award. And this goes to every child
Writes a letter.
who writes a letter. There you go. This is from Kelly, or to Kelly. So she wrote a letter, and she got a certificate for it. You're doing such an incredible service. These kids should thank you for the rest of their lives. And it's thousands of schools now.
Well, I can't assume that every school in the state is listening to the mandate.
Well, if it's mandated.
But
do they want to lose their job?
It's like an all-win situation. This is a product that there's nothing negative whatsoever. It's like the air. Can anyone say anything about the air? No. It's the same thing.
There's no downside.
No downside.
No expense. No pollution. It doesn't pollute. But it brings out something incredible about, take your average kid anywhere. You know, tell us a story about New Guinea, that they're doing it in New Guinea. Anywhere, if you give a child a minute of thought, it's always positive thoughts.
Oh, really?
What do they think about? About their cousins or friends in Trinidad who don't have shoes? About being proud of who they are and feel like they're somebody? In other words, the decency is there. The sensitivity is there. They're never encouraged to tap into it. With their television, with the games, a minute. Give a kid a minute, and goodness comes out.
That's any kid.
So the Rebbe pushed this idea so intensely. I remember when the Rebbe spoke about it, I translated, right? And somebody commented, the Rebbe is so passionate about what should happen in the public school when none of his followers send their kids to public school. He's got no personal benefit from this. And he speaks about it with such passion, like it was all his children.
Yeah.
It's so eye-opening on so many different levels. We're sitting on a treasure of goodness.
Yeah.
And one moment of attention, I'm just wondering if the Rebbe would be pleased if it was 2 minutes. Why only 1 minute?
Well,
why not 5 minutes? Why did the Rebbe pick on 1 minute, not 5 minutes?
I'm not sure. This is my own opinion. If they start with the 1 minute at least, and they'll see the good in it, then maybe they'll increase it. But if you go right away to 5 minutes, oh, who had 5 minutes? But if they see the goodness into 1 minute, they themselves realize maybe we should do it for 2 minutes. That's my own,
Could also be that in 5 minutes, your mind can drift.
Oh,
In 1 minute, you're going to give it your best shot. You only got 1 minute.
that's brilliant.
So you're completely focused for that minute. In 5 minutes, you waste the first 3 because, you got 5 minutes. So I guess the Rebbe was looking for the indivisible, essential point of goodness that only takes a minute. If you're getting down to the absolute core, it can't take more than a minute. Because there's the minute and then the rest is commentary. So don't go into the commentary. Just that essential point of goodness in an essential part of time. A single minute. Anyway, this is absolutely, it is so simple and yet so genius. Wow. Well, I hope everybody is inspired and impressed and eager to do something about this. Like you say, there's no downside. It's all good. Thank you.